my question is this, and I was thinking about actually doing a topic where it's like, generally my platform anyway, I'm very much focused on English people, because when we say Britain, countries like Ireland and Wales are dragged into the nonsense. And we don't like that conversation. Now, those of us who are educated know English people and England is the reason why Britain sucks. Like, they are the ones that have caused so much atrocities. It's English people. So yes, I'm very well. Thank you so much. This is Beth. I hope you are as well. So let's discuss why we dislike English people, because they seem not to get it. They don't seem to understand, and they are not willing to actually understand the reasons why we might dislike them. I can say personally, I don't hate English people. Thank you so much. Could you phonetically spell your name? Is that okay? Is it Janelle or Ganil, or is that completely wrong? Did I get it completely wrong? I'm very well, thank you. So on my platform, I always advocate for the Welsh, the Scottish and the Irish, Eastern Europeans. Basically, anyone who's not English, I advocate for. Oh, Janelle. Is that right? Did I say it right? Janelle? Is that correct? I hope so. Did I get it right? Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Janelle. Lovely to meet you. I'm very well. So yes, as I mentioned, a lot of the time I am always discussing English people and the things that they've done to the world. They are very unaware, or even the fact that they actually are aware. They don't give a shit about the rest of us. And the first people, of course, that they absolutely disrespected are the indigenous peoples of Britain. And those, of course, include the Welsh, the Irish, the Scottish, the Cornwallians, the Kernos, like however your ancestry goes back, right? English people completely forgot that they're not from Britain, which has made the country turn into an absolutely diabolical machine and dragged everybody else with it. And even if you come to live on the island of misery, you also end up getting sucked into the machine. And I always say that the UK is a company. It's not a country. It's a business. It is a machine. And this is what happens when English people brought their barbaric energy to the UK. So we're going to discuss today the reasons why we actually dislike them. Like I say, it's going to be clarifications because they think that they are hated. Me personally, I don't hate them. But like I say, there are many reasons why I dislike them. This is Beth says, yeah, I had an argument with someone as they said, Ireland is part of Britain. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're obviously very uneducated. Of course, Northern Ireland and Northern Irish people do try to claim Britishness, which they shouldn't be doing. And we need to see a united Ireland. We do. Yes, I did leave the UK. Time to stay woke. I left 4 years ago. Yes, I left the island of depression and alcoholism and racism and xenophobia and misery. I left it. And I hope people who are decent people also leave as well. Please find your peace and joy elsewhere. This is Beth. Like, go there and say it and wave the butcher's flag. You'll be in a coffin if you do. Right. Yes, exactly. Irish people waving the British flag. I remember actually the first time I went to Ireland, I used to have an Irish client. And in the taxi, this was, of course, before I educated myself, I said something about England and Ireland and Britain. And the Irish guy and the Irish taxi were both like, I was like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. Lavinia, good to see you. Welcome back. Good to see you. Thank you so much, Lavinia, for the gift. Lovely to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Yaya says, hi, true is a capitalist machine built on the backs of our enslaved ancestors. Exactly. Rasta Pinky is here. Good to see you, darling. So as I've said, this is the topic today, guys. We're going to be discussing the reasons why we actually dislike people. I don't think anyone has it in their heart to actually hate English people. I don't think we can be bothered. But there are many things, of course, that they've done historically and continue to do presently that makes them so dislikable. They're dislikable people. I'll tell you, some of the reasons why I dislike English people, okay? I don't like the fact that they don't realize how racist they are. They don't see it. They don't see the depths of their racism. They're still stuck in this mindset of saying, well, I didn't say a horrible slur. I don't see a racist word, but their behavior is so racist. And you tell them it's racist and they still deny it. And so where does the conversation go from there? It's annoying to constantly have to tell them the depths of their racism and they deny it. That's one part of the reason why I dislike them. I also dislike the fact that they are the hateful ones. They say that we're hateful for speaking truthful about what they've done to us as people and how we live in the UK and in England. And they say that we're the hateful ones. They project onto us. They are so hateful. The things that they have done to civilizations. They've almost wiped out the Tasmanians in Australia. They've genocided time upon time upon time. They've stolen land and given it away when it's not even theirs to give or take. I dislike them for that reason. And I dislike the fact that they literally disrespected people all over the world. Unalived them, raped them, did unspeakable things to people, and yet we're the hateful ones. And especially me having this platform. Fox, why do you hate us so much? Oh, to be honest, I think when English people ask me why I hate them so much, they're disappointed that I don't approve of their behavior. That's what I actually think. I think they're very gutted that a beautiful black woman doesn't like them very much. I think because having black approval, and especially the approval of a black woman, it's like top tier, but they don't get it from us. They don't get it from me, especially. So I think it actually really hurts them in the heart. Just be better people. That's all you need to do. Okay, comments. I saw down here something from Lavinia. As a Scottish person, I would say it's reasonable to dislike the English. Absolutely. Ari, welcome. The caucasity is what takes me out. Yeah. When they try to hide behind whiteness or attach whiteness to themselves sometimes, honestly, I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say, because whiteness, the power of whiteness and what they've managed to do with whiteness is pure evil. And let's be clear, this is a Western European attachment to whiteness. The Eastern Europeans don't really do that so much. It is this Western European ideal of being like, white is right and white is the best and white is pure and white is good, when they have fought the whole entire world and themselves. They are the ones who created this racial structure and racial hierarchy, putting themselves at the top whilst making themselves the most evil beings to ever grace this beautiful earth that we live on. And they continue to ruin it for the rest of us. They are very selfish people. Very selfish people. This is Beth. They don't have to say a racist word. It's the underhanded microaggressions and stereotypes they have. Absolutely. And again, like, especially with this older generation, right? When you tell them something, oh, we used to be able to say that in my day. Everybody's too sensitive. Everybody's too woke. And they don't even know what woke means. Woke means to be awake to discrimination. African American vernacular English is literally AAVE. African Americans came up with this phrase in the 1920s. And like with everything, English people and white people weaponize everything that we create, and they twist it and turn it into something else. Stop saying that wokeism and to be awake is bad just because you're sleeping. You can stay asleep, but the rest of us are woken up to your nonsense. That's how it works. Ari disrespecting us till this day. Absolutely. That's all they know how to do. Corey Malik, fuck Britain, should have let Germany take your country. Honestly, imagine what Britain would have been like beforehand, though. But like I say, the Welsh, the Irish, the Scottish, they were keeping their shit on the island. It was until the Anglo-Saxons, the English came along. It was them that created this big problem that we have today. It's them. They're the problem. Yes, please keep tapping the live, please. And if you see in the bottom corner, there is the gift box. Please click that gift box. And then next to it, it says exclusive. Please click the popular. So that means that we get pushed out to the algorithm. What was that algorithm? Algorithm. So then more people can come by into the conversation. Nick says, my great granddad was born in Hong Kong and he said the British treated the locals very well. So you do realize that there were some pick-me's in all of these countries, Nick, or maybe you don't. Nick, your great granddad is a pick-me. Sorry to break it to you. Gifts unavailable. Right, let me restart the live. I don't know why that would be. Let's see. Let's see. Did it do it? No. Gifts are available. It must be something to you, I think. It must be something you have, Beth. But yes, Nick, your great granddad is a pick-me. That means that he's not able to see the discrimination that the British did to Hong Kong and did to Asian people, especially in that part of the world, Singapore, Thailand, like everywhere around that area, Malaysia, absolutely disgracefully they treated them. So your granddad, yeah, well, this is the thing, Nick. So Nick has just said, that's what he said. He said it was paradise compared to living under Japanese rule. Oh, okay, so they were a different type of oppressor. If you're oppressed by one people and then you're oppressed by the other, you're going to fall in love with your other oppressor because they treated you a little bit better. Your great granddad needs to learn a little bit more about life, unfortunately. I don't know if he's still with us and he's still alive. I don't know. But that's not a good comparison to make. My mother was colonized twice, by the French first and then the British. Both of them, she realizes, was a problem. Don't pick one colonizer over another. Lavinia says, now multiculturalism is the way forward. None of this white is best nonsense. Yep. Having mixed cultures actually is best for all people. But the problem is that English people don't know how to actually integrate. They don't get it. They don't understand. Everald says, the majority of English people have amnesia when it comes to knowing the truth about their history. Absolutely. So much amnesia. And the thing is, it's selective as well, because we keep reminding them and they're on TikTok just as much as we are. And we keep having the conversation and yet they keep coming to us because I know deep down inside they do want to learn, but they have this block that is stopping them from doing so. Gulp88 is here again. Gulp88 is one of those people that dislikes the conversation, but is always here. And he says, you can get colonized, sweetie. I don't understand that conversation, that comment, because I've already been colonized, clearly. I don't understand. Like, you can hear my accent. I don't understand. Plus, I've also left the UK, as I'm sure you're aware, considering you're always a stalker. Yeah. No, Gulp88, I comment to everybody. It's not a shout out, but you're famous. You see what happens? What did I say at the beginning of this? White people and people crave black approval, especially from black women. And you see how excited Gulp88 has just got because I mentioned his name. Yo, shout out, I'm famous. I mention everybody in the chat who has something to say, Gulp88. You see, what they actually need is some kind of stroke for their ego because they're very, very ignored. I don't ever go into anyone's comment section and be like, oh my God, that person said my name, because I don't need approval from other people. Gulp88 clearly does. I could never be that insecure. Never. So, like I mentioned, English people don't realize how racist they are, how hateful they are, how xenophobic they are. Like I've said, is they do not respect the Welsh, the Scottish, the Irish, the Eastern Europeans. If you guys know anything or remember about the Brexit vote, what happened then? The Brexit vote is because they didn't want Eastern Europeans in the country anymore. They didn't like the Polish. They didn't like the Slovakians, the Slovenians, the Bulgarians. They did not like them in the country because they were taking all the jobs. Everything that English people hate is because they always think foreigners are taking all the jobs. They're incredibly xenophobic and jealous because of these other cultures that can actually work better and more efficiently than English people can because they're very lazy. American Eyes says, oh, are you English though? No, clearly I'm not English. I'm black. I'm clearly not English. I'm not English. I'm African. I was born in Britain. Yeah, I don't look very English because I'm not English. American Eyes, you need to learn a little bit more about nationality and ethnicity, sir. You need to learn a little bit more. I mean, especially, you've called yourself Americanized, but what does that even mean? Are you Native American? I doubt it. You're probably from Europe. Because normally it's always Europeans that make these kind of comments. So you are European, right? Nationality and ethnicity are not the same thing unless you've got a boring background where your nationality and ethnicity can be the same thing. It's not the same thing. Camo, if you're an English person and you're born in England, you can say that is even your culture and your heritage because you're bland and unseasoned. But there are some people out here who actually have a little bit more flavour than you. Actually, not even a little bit, a lot more flavour than you. A lot more flavour. Yeah. No, Camo, nationality only ties into ethnicity when you have one, like yourself, Camo, which I'm assuming. Camo, are you English? What is your nationality and ethnicity, Camo? Educate us. Tell us a little bit about your bland recipe that you are. Yeah, I dislike English people. I've given some of the reasons as to why I dislike English people. I've said that they don't know how racist they are. They're hateful. They're xenophobic. I also dislike the fact that they're very uneducated and they don't want to self-educate themselves. We all grew up in the same education system. But some of us actually realized that we need to educate ourselves because we recognized the government was trying to keep us as compliant little slaves. You guys still want to be enslaved to the system, slave to the machine. And you don't want to educate yourselves. Instead, you blame your school and you blame the government. You blame everybody but yourselves. You're uneducated. And that actually annoys me a lot. And like I say, you come to these spaces and we're talking truthfully and we're educating ourselves. And you're like, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. You deny everything, even though you do know, actually. But the fact that you're so uneducated actually annoys me a lot. I dislike it. What else? Let's say, yeah, so I've written that. So Gulp88 says, if you don't see it, your low IQ, me and her are the only people who know what's going on in this life. That comment doesn't even make sense. I don't understand. Camo, you're English. So yeah, exactly. You can claim your blandness. You can have English nationality, English ethnicity, English culture, English heritage. That is you, because your existence is boring. Happy to be bland. Enjoy yourself then. But that is not the same case for most people. Truly, it's not. Dot says, English has an amazing culture. What's that then? Do you want to tell us a little bit about this English amazing culture? Yeah. Lavinia says, in this day and age, there's no excuse to be uneducated. Absolutely. Yeah. Gulp88, her eyes are pretty neutral despite her claiming to be annoyed. Well, yes, because I'm not overly emotional about this stuff. I'm not unhealed, Gulp88. That's the thing. Like, you people are the ones who are angry and annoyed about things, and we can see the hatefulness in your eyes. That's why you can't see any of that stuff in me, because I can actually talk about things truthfully. Yeah. I also dislike the fact that English people are so rude. They're condescending. They're passive aggressive. I dislike these things about your culture. You are so rude as people. These backhanded compliments, you don't even have the honesty to actually be truthful with people. You're very jealous people. And that's why you come across very rude a lot of the time. Like, honestly, when I talk to English people, I always have my head tilted to the side because I know they're going to say something very rude. And the funny thing is, I saw a live yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, where this woman on the panel was shouting, going, oh, this man on the panel, and he was a black guy, I won't mention his name, you talk so condescendingly to English people. And I'm like, what? You guys created the art of talking condescendingly to people. What? And I came up and I said, if you think I talk condescendingly, which I do, it's because I learned it from you lot. So why are you upset? We literally talk exactly like you do. And I'm condescending as hell to these people. It's because of what they deserve. This passive aggressiveness, I can't stand about English people. They don't have the ability to talk directly. I've mentioned this before, that there was this thread on TikTok and someone said, okay, so are we voting green now? And I replied saying, what do you mean by now? Some of us have been voting green for over 10 years like myself. You can do whatever you want. Somebody replied saying, oh, well, that doesn't make us vote green. And they said that I was being rude because I was talking directly to them, telling them that they could do whatever they want. They are not used to people talking directly to them. Honestly, they're ridiculous people. Nonsense conversations. Mr. Bongsley says, this is why I dislike British people. They're pretentious and don't know anything about us. Well, like I say, I really put it down to English people because I feel like Scottish, Welsh and Irish people are quite different. It's English people that I'm specifically talking about because I have this colonised English accent. Camo, what else is go down? Tyler Durden, good to see you. Gulp is gulping something with a higher percentage, judging by their comments. Yeah. Gulp is always here saying some stuff. I don't understand what that person is saying. Julia, good to see you. Highly rude and entitled. Absolutely. Appa says British food in the bin. Yuck. Yes. As we know, British food actually is multicultural food. It's part of the reason why I actually do like coming back to the UK sometimes. I have to come back from time to time ill. But the thing that I love the most is the multicultural food. I love it. I love that there are so many different cuisines. I never eat no English food when I go back to the UK, except for a meal deal, because we don't have those here. LV, thank you so much for the gifts. Good to see you. Seriously, I'm honestly truthful. The first thing I do if I get back to the UK is I go to a WH Smith's at the airport. I pick up a meal deal. I pick up a all-day breakfast sandwich. I pick up crisps. Normally it's Monster Munch because we can't get them in this country. And a Ribena. Those are the English foods that I eat. That's literally English cuisine in my heart. Yeah. What else? We got this thing kind of went up. I missed it. Time to stay woke. Says British culture is colonialism, exploitation and imperialism. Absolutely. QWERTY says leave England then. I did 4 years ago. Keep up with the conversation. You're kind of behind, my dear. What else are people saying? Appa says England, the island of the Habsburg jaws. Yes. It's actually true. I'm seeing a lot more conversation. So if you guys don't know about what the Habsburg jaw is, it's like when people have the wider face down here, and it's kind of to do with a lot of inbreeding, and they try to make themselves seem the sort of more higher class, upper class people. But yeah, we're kind of understanding a little bit more about them now. Tyler Durden says seasoning bypass the English kitchen. Yeah, we always make jokes about this, right? They went to war for all these seasonings and they don't even put them in the food. All of that time and effort and lives lost. And their food is still bland as ever. They can't compete. They can't compete. LB, you said it's the best. I'm not sure. I missed that part because I'm behind in the comments, guys. So I'm trying to go down. I'm trying to go down. Yeah, let me catch up now, actually. Hi, Pedro. Good to see you. Random guy says, none of my family use seasoning. I'm the only one. Oh, no. Oh, dear. LB, I'd only miss the melting pot of cultures and food. That is literally the only thing I do miss, truly. I actually also miss home bargains. When I'm in the UK, I go there. But you know what I buy? 1 minute. Let me show you what I buy from home bargains, right? This always makes me laugh so much. Seasoning. And I don't know if it's backwards, but it's literally called Kerala, which is in India, but it's a Chinese salt and pepper chili seasoning. I buy so many of these when I come back to the UK. An Indian brand doing Chinese spices. Nothing English. Nothing English. I also place a lot of orders from Temu. I used to call it Temu. I saw someone say it Temu once. It's now stuck in my head. Temu is what I actually call it. Are people saying Temu or Temu? What are people saying out here in the streets? Let me know. It's like those people that say Primark or Primark. I think Primark is a northern way to say it, isn't it? Because I remember the first time I heard someone say Primark. But I think in Ireland, it actually is officially called Primark, isn't it? Yeah. You say Temu, LB. Yes. What else is people saying? Primani. You know what I used to call, good to see you, Ella Haynes. I used to call Primani Primark Jacobs. That's how I used to call it. I don't think anybody actually caught on with that, though. I was like, yeah, let's go to Primark Jacobs. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Galen. Yes. Janelle, sorry. Yes, Primark is pennies. That is right. But I think, who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of? Yeah. And even the pennies in Ireland feels differently. Tyler Durden says it's Temu. You say Temu. Yes, you have to go to Home Bargains and get that. This is Beth. It is a great, beautiful spice. Honestly, I use it on everything. I'm kind of obsessed with it. So the other thing I also dislike about English people, back to the topic, is why do we dislike them? Why do I dislike them? Why do you dislike them? Is I actually dislike their weakness a lot. I dislike how weak they are. They've been so downtrodden by their government. This is a conversation that we talk about quite some times, right? Is that now they are so weak, they can't fight their government, and they're fighting all of us lot instead of going to therapy. They are weak people. Like I said, having direct conversation with them is a problem. Talking truthfully to them is a problem. They think everything is a debate, especially on this platform, right? You just have a conversation and they always have to argue and fight and debate. And I'm like, I'm not arguing, man. I'm just talking. Why do you feel like everything has to be a fight? Why is everything sounding aggressive to you? Why is everything sounding me? Because you're the one who is actually angry. You're the one who's actually upset. Like, it's you. I don't know. Random guy says, trying to get in more UK political spaces is awful. Lord have mercy. I literally only spend about 5 or 10 minutes in these spaces because they're just disgraceful. People have no decorum. They can't handle themselves. They don't know what they're talking about. And they just come with this very hard-headed agenda when they're speaking. They don't have any want to actually discuss things or understand things. And like we've said before, English people are more interested in being hateful, racist, xenophobic, uneducated, rude and weak. They're more comfortable being that way rather than actually evolving themselves to a higher level, which is what humanity needs them to be. This is Bev says, in England, there's a 1 in 300 chance that a stranger is a relative. Tyler Dirty, your replies, damn, that's a lot of blue blood. Well, yeah. You know, people need to really do their like DNA tests or their ancestry tests and things like that to kind of figure out where it is. Because inbreeding was quite common, of course, as among the Anglo-Saxons. It was quite common. And I think what's really interesting these days, right, is of course we're having more and more conversations about SA towards minors and children. And we spoke about this during the week, about how having a legal age is of course now trying to protect more women and girls. But you had Russell Brand, who still went with a child, essentially, because they were 16. He was like, it's okay, she was legal. We know for a fact, if there was no legal age in the UK, these men, these English men, would still be doing what they do to kids, because they still do. Zach, good to see you. Yeah, so, you know, it's a real big problem. Very big problem. So, like I said, English people don't know how racist they are. They don't know how hateful they are, how xenophobic they are, uneducated they are, rude, condescending, passive-aggressive, and weak they are. And the most frustrating thing is that we are always experiencing their behaviour, whether we want to or not. Oh, Julia says a new research showed that 1 in 35 men in the UK would be interested in a child. And those are the ones that are honest. I think it would be higher, truly. You know, all you need to do is just look into the history of the Anglo-Saxons and look in the history of Britain. That number would be higher. It would be. You know, the amount of backlash that I got on this here social media app because I was talking about how the British behaved during the Second World War. They were entrusted by French families, German families, when they were marching through Northern Europe, and they actually started to SA the children of these families. Because of course, when the British were marching, these countries were like, okay, save us, save us, save us. And the British soldiers needed places to stay as they were marching through Europe. These families welcomed in the British soldiers, and they then started to SA the wives and the children. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely disgraceful that you would think that these people are kind of, you know, going to come and save you from the mustache man, and you just violate these people. Horrific. Tyler Durden says, Brand is so vile, he sent a driver to pick her up from school. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Horrible. Poor girl. That's grooming, man. And this is the thing, right? This is one thing, I wonder if you guys have noticed this. The reason why they call it Pakistani grooming gangs is so they can come up with a new term. Because if they say PDF files, they will get lumped into the rest of PDF-philia that white people do and English people do. Because if you Google PDF-philia right now, you'll see all white faces. If you Google grooming gangs, you'll only see Pakistani faces. So they're actually just trying to say, it's a separate issue. They're the ones who are doing all this grooming. But white people are the original groomers. It's them. And they do it on an international scale. Hello. It doesn't just stay in the country. It doesn't stay in the community. It doesn't stay within the culture. They do it to everybody worldwide. Go to parts of Asia. Go to East Asia. Despicable behaviour over there. Zach London, exactly. All they do is they try to divert the attention from them. And this is why I have topics like this, because it's very key on what we're talking about. Julia says, let's not forget how we know about STDs. Oh, my Lord. Yeah. Epstein scale. Look at the Philippines. It's international, like I say. It spreads so far and wide. And I actually have a video talking about the justice systems in the UK and abroad. Talking about actually how they are still very, well, how do I phrase this? The justice systems at home and abroad still do not punish white men correctly. White men get more lenient sentencing in the UK and abroad. Whereas black and brown men always have accurate sentencing. It's always, of course, because the world is incredibly racist towards black and brown men. there is such disparity in terms of how long a white person serves in prison compared to a black or brown man for the same crime. Julia says the criminal justice system was set up by white men to protect white men. Absolutely. Internationally. We've got Dip Bean Tot in the comment section having a conversation of their own, saying, wow, white people. Wow, why am I so oppressed by black people? What? Wow, STDs are spread by white people even though Africa invested with AIDS. What? I think you mean infected with AIDS. Actually, you actually need to go and look at the history of AIDS and how it actually came about and where diseases in the world actually came from. You need to educate yourself a little bit more. I bet you don't know that there was a French doctor in Africa. So actually AIDS did transfer from chimpanzees to human through infection. So through hunters. If you actually leave Dip Beanpot, I'm actually explaining the history. You're going to be educated right now. So in Europe, there are things like typhoid. I wrote these all down. Hold on. So measles, mumps, tuberculosis, right? They came from bovine reservoirs. So where you had cows in Europe, that's how you got all of those diseases which killed you, Europeans, from cow rivers. You're sharing places with cows, right? Your smallpox came from horses. Your diphtheria came from livestock and pets. Your flu came from birds and swine hosts. So you were sharing all these animals, right? You were with animals, you were laying with animals, because we know that. You're having relationships with animals. We've literally seen the documentaries on the television talking about you lot doing this with animals. And thank you, Julia. Let's not forget the British had no sewage systems. Absolutely. So all of your diseases that killed you came from animals. What happened in Africa regarding AIDS is, like I say, there was a hunter that unalived a chimpanzee. And through that process, the blood got transfused, right? That was the first person. But what happened after, which is abhorrent, is that there was a French doctor who actually was trying to cure some disease, I can't remember what it is, to immunize, used the same 300 syringes, I think it is, on 8,000. Let me get the statistic. Hold on. I want to say this accurately because I read this. This made me sick and I didn't actually write it down. Let me find it. It's a French doctor. Dr. Syringe. Let me find it. Let me find the fact that I found. Let's see where it says it. Because they literally immunized the same people many times over and over and over again. Let me see if I can find it. France. Because when the French and the Belgians were actually in West Africa, they were hell-bent on extracting rubber and ivory, right? So they then started to try and do these mass vaccinations, but they were killing people in the process. Ah, here we go. I found it. So syringes were expensive then, handmade. In one campaign, French doctors used 6 syringes to inject 80,000 African workers with a medicine for sleeping sickness. That's how they spread AIDS. This is on NPR. You know NPR, very reputable site. This is an interview between Knox and a Professor Moore. And this was an article that was done back in 2006. And it was the origin of AIDS. It's linked to colonial practices in Africa. That's exactly what happened. So the virus, of course, did jump from chimpanzees to human, but it was the fact that it spread so far was down to colonial settlers or colonialism. It wouldn't have left the continent if it wasn't for Europeans. And this is what happens every single time, Tola Durden. They come here and they say this stuff and they literally don't stay to be educated, or unless he is and he's not quite understanding the conversation because he wants to be racist, which, like I say, is a default for a lot of English people. What did Nestle do, Julia? I'm not aware of what Nestle have done. I'm not aware of what they did. Yeah, Julia, exactly. It would never happen in the West. Of course it wouldn't. They want to protect their own because they really understood that they wanted to keep the white population alive and thriving. They realized that they were a minority when they were traveling around the world. So they wanted to protect more of their people. Yeah, exactly, Pedro Domingo. 6 syringes used on 80,000 Africans. 80,000. Oh, Julia, the baby formula. Yeah, what? Again, I'm not fully aware of the story. I know they did. Did Nestle put bad baby formula in the motherland? Is that what you're saying? Is that what happened? Because I'm not sure. So you see how people come in the comment section, and you guys know what I do here. If there is a claim that is said down in the comment section, I will be able to say whether parts are true or if it's false or whatever. And I will also debunk simultaneously, which is exactly what I do. AIDS did not become the pandemic it was until Europeans got involved. And I don't know if you guys have seen that footage of the British soldier who actually was talking about AIDS being purposefully being spread. There was a massive campaign that the British Army did. And he went as a whistleblower. This British Army guy. Let me see if I can find that as well, actually. British Army man AIDS spreading. What is it called? AIDS uncovering or something like that. Let me Google it. So Julia says they gave the mother baby formula inside breast milk and it ended in many babies unaliving. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's terrible. So hold on, let me see if I can find this. Oh, maybe this. Hold on. I'm trying to find this soldier story because I remember seeing. Okay, I came across something else differently though. Let me tell you about this. So an ex-mercenary claims South African group tried to spread AIDS. A new documentary details units describing obsession with HIV. So this guy called Keith Maxwell, he was a mercenary. Let me turn it around so you can see his disgusting face. Flip camera. So this guy, right? This guy was a mercenary. And as we know, mercenaryism was a terrible thing in these African countries. You always had a white man coming and creating cults through religion or some kind of white worship or white supremacy, right? So it says here, a South African-based mercenary group has been accused by one of its former members of trying to intentionally spread AIDS in South Africa in the 80s and 90s. The claims were made by Alexander Jones in a documentary that premieres this weekend at Sundance Film Festival. So this was 7 years ago, by the way. He spent years as an intelligence officer with the South African Institute for Maritime Research 3 decades ago, when it was masterminding coups and other violence across Africa. So this white man, he was masterminding coups and other violence across Africa, not his fucking country, not his land, not his continent. And it says the film also explores the unexplained unaliving of a young recruit in the 90s whose family believe she was killed because of her work on AIDS-related project run by the group in South Africa and Mozambique. It also claims the group's then leader had a racist, apocalyptic obsession with HIV and AIDS. Keith Maxwell wrote about a plague he hoped would decimate black populations, cement white rule, and bring back conservative religious mores, according to papers collected by the filmmakers. This is disgusting. I've literally just found this out. This is not the article, by the way, I was looking for. That's not the article I was looking for. It also goes on to say that Maxwell had no medical qualifications but ran clinics in poor, mostly black areas around Johannesburg while claiming to be a doctor. That gave him the opportunity for sinister experimentation, Jones said in the film. Cold Case, Hammerskladoid. It's Scandinavian, sorry, the word, so it's difficult for me to pronounce. The filmmakers were also investigating another group because it claimed responsibility for the mysterious plane crash of 1961 that killed a guy, and then there's this man who is actually a UN Secretary General. Oh my goodness. And so apparently Jones has said in the film, what easier way to get a guinea pig than when you live in an apartheid system? Black people have got no rights. They need medical treatment. There's a white philanthropist coming in and saying, you know, I'll open up these clinics and I'll treat you. In the meantime, he's actually the wolf in sheep's clothing. This is white people. And they want us to be very understanding and kind towards them as people when they have this in their history. They opened up clinics to experiment on black people. Please tell us when in other cultures have that ever happened. Let us know. Like I said, that was not the story I was looking for, but I found this one, which of course I'm sure is one of hundreds. Tyler Durden, Bill Gates had an unhealthy obsession with Africa for evil purposes. Yeah, I need to read more into that actually. Paulie, good to see you. CHB18 is here. Good to see you. Tyler Durden, they deliberately sterilized black men in America. Yeah. Even actually the mustache man. So I think you guys were here when I mentioned this bit of research I was doing, because some people say that Hitler didn't have a hatred towards black people. It wasn't as extreme as his hatred for the Jays, you know, but he did he did castrate black men in Northern Europe when there was a particular town. He did that. So like I say, I don't know if actually, thank you so much. Thank you, Rebel. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't know if it was part of his plan to actually do something more with black people. I didn't see any stories about black women being affected, but I don't know. I need to do a little bit more research. But yes, good to see CHB18 back. Everybody, CHB18 is one of the original moderators that I chose to be here, and I'm so glad he's here because it's been some time and I'm always like, where are you? Where are you? I don't know if Lavinia is here still, but she was also one of my original moderators. And Hermit Sapien, of course, was also original. So these are the original three. But then, of course, we now have this wonderful team here to help keep the space safe and protected, and it also of course makes me feel very comfortable, very happy, because then I can focus on the topic. So thank you everybody who has agreed to be moderator. I love and appreciate you all. Tyler, you say Ella, sorry, he sterilized black soldiers when caught. Yeah. This is Beth. Yes, you understand, you agree, he did, but it's been swept under the rug because of what he did to the Jays. Flint, Michigan, Tyler Durden, you say water is still a huge health concern. Absolutely. Truly. Truly, truly, truly. Thank you. This is Beth, and thank you, Tyler. It's much love. All love here. Thank you. So yes, these are the many reasons why I dislike English people. Again, like I said, this is not a white people thing. It's not. I don't have conversations about disliking white people because I don't dislike white people. Truly, I don't. I dislike the English people very much so because I've been around them. I know them. I understand them. They don't understand themselves. They don't know anything about themselves. And I see their behavior constantly a problem. Even when it comes to dating English men, right? Let me talk about dating English men for a bit. You see me when I do this sigh first. I've dated all kinds of men, black men, brown men, Asian men, white men from all over, like everyone except for Chinese. Like I've said this before, Chinese, Japanese, we've not had our time yet. Hopefully one day we have our time. But English men, dating them is an absolute disaster. The gaslighting that English men will do. The gaslighting. English men will do anything to make you seem like you're a problem because you like them. Honestly. And honestly, truly, I think they get very upset because they realize that they're not worth shit, and they get very confused when you actually like them. And truly, it is confusing for us too. But this is the problem. This is the thing. Englishmen have a level of confidence sometimes that other cultures don't have. But like I've said, in other lives, the veil falls and we get to see the truth because we get to see them for what they actually are. And then an Englishman will do everything he can to say that we're the problem. Diavolo says, your boyfriend is English, should you break up with him? This is my advice to everybody who has an English boyfriend or an English partner. If he is not anti-racist, anti-sexist, he is not anti-ableism, if he's not anti, you dump him. Dump him. White men and Englishmen especially have to be advocates, outright advocates. If they're not, dump them. The world is too volatile to date any man, and this is regardless of race, right? To date any man who does not support you in your blackness. Yeah, ask him, but you should know already. Diviola, you should know already. If you've been with him and he's your boyfriend and you're not white, his actions should tell you if he's going to be a protector for you, if he's going to love you. I mean, if you're still in the UK, you have to have a protector in a man, and he has to understand your story, understand where you're from. Yeah. Oh, I don't understand what that means. Toxic Phantom, I've got a notification here saying your portal is closed. A notable percentage of viewers joined through this portal. I don't know what that means. Does that mean you're bringing followers? It says it for your portal. That's kind of funny. Tyler Durden, did I see the clip of Lawrence Fox realizing his girlfriend was biracial live on social? No, I didn't see that. Sam England says, what's the relevance to English people? Why can't that be for everyone, for anyone? Because this conversation is about English people. I was colonized by the English. I lived in England. That's the topic of conversation. If this is too sensitive for you, then this is not the place for you to be. It's quite simple, sir. Yeah. CHB18 spoken like a true prodigy. Thank you so much, sir. We've definitely missed you around these parts. Tyler Durden, they must learn about your culture and blackness otherwise. Absolutely. Janelle says, with Ireland's history, if it's not just the English, it's also the Scottish who oppressed our islands. Yeah, I know. That's why I always say it's like 50-50 with the Scottish. And again, like if you're Irish, Scottish or Welsh, you know, if you're dating an English person, do they understand the oppression that they did to your people? It's important. Sam England, do I identify as British? Yes, of course I'm British. I was born there. That's my nationality. It's what I have to tick on the census form. It's what my birth certificate says. But I'm also black, so I'm African. I'm Nigerian and Grenadian. I have multiple ethnicities and I have one nationality. That's the difference between ethnicity and nationality, by the way. Ethnicity normally comes from your parents or the culture that you grew up in. But I don't take on anything from England except for my accent. Yeah, that's it. Yes, please do tap and share the live, guys. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes, thank you, Toxic Phantom. This is Beth says, the portal opens up when you get a few people who come into the live. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, you like my dress? Thank you. Yeah, this is the new dress I'm wearing today. It's got sleeves. The sleeves go all the way down. But there's a really lovely Italian shop that we actually have here. And I get a lot of stuff from this shop and it's absolutely amazing. I love this shop. And this is a dress, but I kind of wore it as a kind of a throw over today because I've been at the beach this week. Oh, I feel so happy to be back at the beach. The seasons are really messed up here at the moment. This is the first year. The seasons have been messed up. So normally we get 320 days, I think it is, or 300 days of sun, right? That's most of the year. And even in those 60 days, you still get sun in the day. You can still go outside. You can still do things. This year, the seasons are messed up. It's that 13-month calendar. I've only started to go on the beach this week, when normally I will be back on like 2 months ago. Yeah, it's all crazy. Shane, do I miss the UK weather? Hell no. But the good thing is that every time I come back to the UK, I bring the sun. 100% of the time. It's always sunny when I go back to the UK, regardless of what time of year. Truly. Paulie says, man, it was 20 degrees in Glasgow yesterday and your gym was roasting. Oh, Lord. Charlie says, you can't dislike me. Well, if you're not... Okay, so let me tell you the reasons why, again, for any English people who are coming back here to understand the conversation. Charlie, if you don't know how racist you are, I dislike you. If you don't know how hateful you can be, I dislike you. If you don't know how xenophobic you can be, I dislike you. If you're uneducated and you're not willing to self-educate, I dislike you. If you're rude, condescending, passive-aggressive, I dislike you. If you're weak because you're choosing to fight other people instead of your government, or instead of going to therapy because you're fighting with everybody except for yourself, I dislike you. So if you go fall under any one of those categories, that's you. Yeah. So we've got Custard Cream on the panel, I think, here. Custard Cream, how are you today?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm lovely, thank you. So this is the topic conversation today. We're discussing English people and why are they disliked by us, and those are the reasons. So what do you want to add to the conversation today?
I think I feel that the reason that they are disliked is the fact that they have a habit of not learning from past mistakes, or taking accountability or understanding for every action there is a reaction, and have no concept of time. So when we talk to them about colonization, it's as though, well, it happened ages ago and it doesn't matter. And what they don't realize is that them as English people are still benefiting from the effects of colonization. But what they don't understand is there's a difference between classism and there's a difference between benefiting from the effects of colonization. For example, they'll say, well, I'm working class and I can't get a doctor's appointment. That is not what we're talking about, how you're benefiting. You're still benefiting. Asian and minority people, for example, are still feeling the effects of colonization, whether it comes down to the fact that we are predispositioned to certain illnesses because we were so deprived from certain nutritions, we weren't eating right, that over time it's changed our DNA and we are now predispositioned to things like heart disease and diabetes. That is us still feeling the effects of colonization. And what they don't understand that, or they're willing, or it's an uncomfortable conversation. And another thing I've noticed as well is once upon a time when they invented slurs and they use them to keep ethnic minorities, whereas it with the N word or the P word. Now that a lot of them feel that they have come beyond that and they are not their ancestors, they are behaving as though they want to feel the need to be inclusive of using those words because it makes them feel uncomfortable now. And I'm like, you don't get to sit at the table and use those very words that once upon a time you used to suppress us. Now, because you feel uncomfortable and you feel like you're a better person, you want to use them alongside us. That is not going to happen. That is just why I dislike them sometimes. But that's just, it's just lack of accountability. And I don't know whether it's ignorance or it's because they don't want to have the uncomfortable conversation.
I'm going to.
Thank you.
Well done. You see, this is what happens when you actually educate yourself. And the funny thing is, Custard Cream, I have to say, I was hovering over the disconnect button because you and me, we got very English accents, right? So if you can't see the person, you're like, is it?
I know. I can sound very white passing. I've been told that multiple times but I'm a proud Pakistani woman, and I never once, and I always get thrown in my face that you're not English. I have never once claimed to be English. I'm very proud of who I am. And it seems to be, if you want to be accepted in this country, you have to disregard who you are, what your identity is to be accepted. And I will never show that level of disrespect to my parents who suffered great amounts of racism to create a life, to give me the voice that I have today. No way would I sit back and say I'm ashamed. I'm proud to be who I am, because our parents didn't come along, work, slave away to create and to take the backlash of all the racism that they took for us to be the mute generation and take the bullshit that they're giving us now. Not a chance. I would never dream of disrespecting my parents in such a way, because what was it all for? Why did they do that? So I could be a mute and just take the bullshit? Absolutely not. And especially a woman of color as well. Absolutely not.
You're going to do this.
And I hope more women of color will embrace this and feel confident enough to speak their truth and don't be shut down, regardless if they say, oh, it was a long time ago. It doesn't matter. Look what we've done for you. That's not an excuse for them to treat you like shit. They've not done us a favor. People say, this is the country that fed you. No, bitch. I fed myself. I go to work. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I may not agree with your culture, but being British being in this country doesn't mean I have to be engrossed in your culture. I can respect you. Do you? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my taxes just like everyone else. I feed me. You don't feed me. And this is, no one needs to be guilt tripped into thinking this country has done loads. I'm not saying I'm not proud to be British, but at the same time, I'm very aware of my history. And no matter how much this country progresses, doesn't mean because it's come a long way, I forget the history. Not at all.
And I think that's what it makes it easier for us, right, as Black and brown people. We are able to detach ourselves from the story. Like, we know where we come from.
Yeah.
We know the path of our people. And I think this is a problem for English people, especially because they're not willing to actually understand where they came from, which is Northern Europe. They're not indigenous to the land. They think that their culture actually started, and they think that they built everything in the world from 450 AD when civilization is 300,000 years old. And like, this is what we're doing, right, as Black and brown people, is that we are decolonizing our minds, especially if you're born in the UK. We're born in the same system, right? We're born in the same education. We've got the same struggles. We came in as working class. We had the same shit. We had the same shit, and yet we managed to educate ourselves. We managed to excel. We managed to do all of these things that they're not able to do, even though these systems are set up for them. And like you say, like, I always think all of the time about how my grandparents, Windrush generation, how they had to deal with all the crap when they came first, all the discrimination, all the racism. They had to ignore so many things, and my parents had to ignore so many things. But at least now we're the generation that can talk about this. We can discuss it. We can empower ourselves. Like, it's such a beautiful feeling. And I know that you feel that the strength, right, and the support of the people that have come before you, the ancestors, like everything. And especially, I think women are feeling it more now, right? It's like the oldest daughters, or the daughters that are literally standing now on the shoulders of everybody who came beforehand. The way that our ancestors suffered, the way that they were so humiliated, the way that they were unalived constantly. They could not live when the Europeans came, and the same shit still happened to them in these European countries as well. So they had to go through so much. And you know, it's so nice that these days we have a voice. And I'm so glad that you've said everything that you've said, Custard Cream, is that we have to keep speaking, we have to keep talking. Like, this is my 4th account, I think, now to even discuss this English.
Oh, have you been banned?
Yeah, many times. Many times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, many times.
This is really sad to hear, because I've noticed when I speak to people about this, it's you're crying victim. You're the victim of this. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be no one's trying to be a victim. We're just trying to make you aware that the fact that you haven't learned from your mistakes. I mean, I personally, I think the issue is that there is an issue with the fact that they feel that Black and brown people, any ethnic minority, has progressed against a system that wasn't designed for them. And how dare you surpass us? We let you in our country. You don't surpass us until we are at the top. And I'm not slowing down for anyone at all. I mean, if you are a failure in a system which is basically set up to benefit you, something's gone wrong big time for you. And I always say I think most people say it's immigrants that let this country down. I think a lot of the native English people, their lack of ability to critically think, to dissect policies, to understand narratives, to understand what's going on in the world, to be empathetic and understand what's going on around them. I think that lets their country down, because you're not exactly showing the country full of its brightest people.
Absolutely true.
I mean, if you don't understand systematic racism and how it existed, I mean, many people don't want to believe that. In like the NHS did a report to say Black and brown women are 4 times more likely to unalive in labour. Yeah. Well, why is that? Because there's migrants in the NHS, but that's not the point. The system is built from the top upwards. I mean, they believe that BLK women are, they don't have the right pain medication because somehow you're just meant to tolerate pain. Why is that? That's a preconceived idea that they have of BLK people. Yeah. The equipment that they use, the medicine that they use is all tested on for white people. It's not for people of ethnic minority when it comes down to medical studies. Even if it comes down to pain relief, it was always tested on white people. They have always been the one that benefit, not us. We are the ones that come out the bottom.
Yeah. And isn't it frustrating that they keep saying that they're not benefiting from anything? Like they don't have any benefits. They don't have any benefits, but they'll try to say that we benefit.
We work hard.
It's incredibly hilarious and incredibly ironic that they literally, like you said, is like they literally say you should be grateful to be in this country because the country gave you this and this. And when we turn around and say, actually, no, we did work for it, it doesn't benefit us in any way. And plus, we would rather be in our homeland. They look around at all the things that they don't have and they say, well, maybe I should actually be, well, they should start critically thinking, but like you say, they don't have critical thinking skills because they should wake up and be like, right, okay, if this country is as fruitful and as glorious as it says it is, why do I not feel those benefits myself? I always tell them this, you live in the sixth richest country, but you ain't acting like you're the sixth richest, like at all. Why is that? Because your government and your ancestors and everybody else that came before you were too weak to fight against the elites. They were too weak. And they gave away their lands and they were also kissing their asses at the same time. They believed in the empire and they believed in conquest. They believed in being as genocidal and as horrible as they had been because they felt powerful when they did that in their insecurity. And then when they came back to the UK and realised that actually they still had shit because they had no sewerage system. They were throwing their piss and shit out of windows. They were filthy. The place was full of diseases. Full of rats. And Britain was a beautiful place, pretty much. I mean, it was okay before the Anglo-Saxons came. But when the Anglo-Saxons came, and then when they started to build the Industrial Revolution, it was disgusting. Like, the country was disgusting. It was filthy. It was nasty. Like, people were so sick and people were dying through all these diseases. It was disgusting.
Famines and the plague and everything else. And they forget that. When I speak to people about what happened when they went over to Hindustan, when they went over to India and they colonized it, they have a very rose painted tinted glass image of, well, we went over and we gave you freedom. I said, no, you didn't. You went over, you unalive, you called the Great Bengal Famine, you looted and took everything that was ours. You didn't go in and learn the language when you came over, did you? But you took what you wanted. We built with the railroad. No, you built the railroad because it was easier for you to take out the wealth that you extracted from that country. But yet today, that country is still exceeding you in GDP. I mean, what does that tell you? I think that tells you something about the people of that country. I mean, I've always said this. I feel as though in this country, children of migrants are built different compared to the natives. We are built like soldiers compared to many native white people because we have to. Otherwise, people in this country would eat us alive. We would not have it. We would not survive if we have sucked food and bowed down to people. It just wouldn't work.
Absolutely, I love that.
We have to be like men to match their energy.
Yeah, I think this is exactly it. And Tyler Durden, you said something about this in the comment section about certain things being inherited. Like, we're very aware that we inherit generational trauma, but we also inherit generational strength. In an abundance, in a massive way, and like I said, like as part of this awakening, and especially the women, like we realized that we were leaders in our past lives and in past communities, and it's so nice to feel that energy again, to feel like in 2026 we don't need to hide ourselves away, like the oppression or the weight has literally been lifted. Because I don't know about you, Custard Cream, but for me personally, I always felt like I had to kind of suppress a lot of myself because of England being so passive aggressive and being an oppressive country anyway. I always felt like the thoughts that I wanted to come out just couldn't come out because I had this fear of judgment or for fear of alienation, because you know, we grow up in a majority white country, so we want people to be our friends,
of course.
But at the same time it's like, hold on, but this feels weird. Like, I don't feel this culture is correct, like the things that they're doing. But then when you get older and older and you start to live life and you explore more, that's when your honesty starts coming out. And for me, I think my honesty really started coming out maybe like 10 years ago. I've been an activist for quite some time, since I was a young kid, probably like 18, since I started activism. But then when it came to actually understanding British history and understanding myself, being born in Britain, being raised in Britain, having African and Grenadian and Caribbean parents, I was like, this all feels very weird. It doesn't feel correct. Why does it not feel correct? And then again, as I started to travel the world, and every time I came back to the UK, everything always felt wrong. I felt like my energy didn't belong there. I felt uncomfortable. I felt sad. I said, but that's not me. Because I know I'm happy. I know I'm like funny, and I love to be with people, and I'm incredibly social. But when I come back to the UK, I was like, this sucks. And I was always leaving all of the time. And then eventually, after my 40th birthday, I was like, I need to actually start talking about this stuff properly. I was literally being pushed by the universe, like, Fox, you need to talk about your life in the UK, how it was, and be truthful. And then as we see, it's literally a global movement, right? So I put a video on my page about this. So first of all, it was like, okay, we're looking at white people first and foremost, because we know that they've caused so much problems. And then it became, actually, it's like Western Europeans. If you look at colonization, it's literally Western European countries. The Eastern Europeans kept their shit to themselves. And then when we get closer and closer, it's like, hold on, we can talk about Britain, because of course that's where we're born. And then we're like, hold on a minute, it's England. England actually is the country that fucked it up. Like, it's them. So the world is getting smaller.
The bane of everyone's existence.
Right, exactly. And this is the problem. When they don't seem to realise that they are the bane of everyone's existence. And this victim thing that they say that you brought up is very frustrating, because the thing is, we were victims, but we don't make ourselves victims. That's the difference.
No.
That's the difference.
No, I think they just don't want to have the
Oh, are you still there?
Conversation. There are a couple of creators on here, and they are very sorry. My signal's terrible. Can you hear me?
It's just gone down, but you're kind of there still.
Hello?
You've got two red.
Oh dear. Sorry, my signal's terrible here. So there are a couple of people that I do speak to on here, and they understand sort of systematic oppression, but they tend to be the Irish people. So if there's any white people that sort of can understand to a degree what minorities have gone through, I've noticed it tends to be Irish people, because they understand how once upon a time the English sort of did persecute them because they were not the right type of white. The way they sounded, the way they spoke, the discrimination they faced. They faced, I wouldn't say racism, they faced prejudice because they weren't the right type of white. And now England need to really think, if you can discriminate against someone who's the wrong type of white, oh my God, God help us. Right. God help us, being a totally different skin color altogether.
Yeah. But this is the problem, and this is why I keep reminding other white people. Like, I have a video on my page about how Eastern Europeans were like, yeah, we love English people. Like, they were kicking you out of the country in 2016 in the Brexit vote. Stop forgetting, because they will always turn around on any other white person. They constantly have done it in history, and they do it presently.
Yeah.
So I am a thorn in the side for the English, because I never let this rest. They want me to stop talking, and hence why my accounts have been banned so many times.
So they're unhappy with what you're talking about.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you, because we need to keep having these conversations. They're not going anywhere. There needs to be real significant change, especially as we know that the UK has sleptwalked back into fascism. It's not a past tense, it's a present tense. The country was built on fascism and racism that they don't seem to realise. They're having protests and marches every other week. The government is trying to vilify anybody that stands up for Palestinians or for black people. Yeah. But if you are a far right person, you can still march up and down the street and say what you want and do what you want. And they still try to say that there's two-tier policing and blah, 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 blah. No.
There's always been two-tier policing, but it's been two-tier policing which has been against ethnic minority people. So I don't understand why they feel all of a sudden they've woken up to two-tier policing. Yeah, there has been two-tier policing. Black and brown people are 3 times more likely to face a custodial sentence if they're from the same area for the same crime to their white counterparts. So when they say there's so many black and brown people in prison and they're the problem because of systematic racism, genius, that's why.
Yeah, they're not smart enough.
The same system that protects you.
They're not smart enough to understand this. And this is the frustrating thing about them being so uneducated, is you will literally give them the education and they don't want to receive it.
Yeah.
They don't want to accept the truth because the lie is easier to accept. Like, they want to stay in this false and broken reality because it feels comfortable for them. But literally, they haven't got a choice. We are dragging them to the future. But again, it's their choice. If they want to stay in the past, right?
Yeah.
Great replacement theory. They're getting exited out anyway. These people are going extinct. They're not compatible with present day and they're not compatible with the future. So if they don't want to update their thinking, they're not procreating and they're not bringing children into the world. They're not able to do it because women ain't for that shit. Like, it's disgusting. It's so unattractive, right? So their bloodline is finished. But I do have a massive concern. And I mentioned this the other day about how many young boys are at these protesters' marches. Have you seen them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very concerned that I know racism has gone up in primary schools by something stupid like 350%, which is ridiculous. Why are these conversations being had around the age groups of 7 to 11? Why are young children who this doesn't concern, why are they going to protest? Why are they outside of hotels? Why are they witnessing stuff? This to me is you're not safe. Social services matter. You're not safeguarding your children at all because we know racism is a learned behavior. Yeah. No child is born racist. They're a product of their environment.
I saw the weekend just gone, last weekend, that they were in Solihull. I don't know if you saw this protest. Right. They had a massive Saving Our Women and Children flag on this pub. It was probably the biggest flag I've ever seen on the whole. It was huge. Yeah. And then they were putting the camera on the children in the audience. Even this poor lad, this poor disabled child in a wheelchair. And I'm like, you just got wheeled there. Your parents wheeled you to this thingy, and you don't know what you're even there for. And the kids, we know that they don't know what they're there for. It's just because the parents have said, that's abuse. Yes, absolutely. It's child abuse. Absolutely child abuse. And it's disgusting. All of these parents should have their children taken away from them. They should be all in social services. They probably actually are on social services watch, I can imagine. We've already seen the statistics about how they're all beating their wives and their children and essaying them and all that lot. We've seen the statistics. I think it's just so disgusting that they live in a culture where that's acceptable, right? They're not even changing their behavior. Now they are uniting together.
But now then they'll criticize other cultures. Like in Manchester, where I live, we've had a couple of Britain First marches that have happened. And there was a BLK man, and he's just moved to Manchester. And when he was at Piccadilly, they were doing the Britain First march, and they were asking, said, "Why are you here for?" And he goes, "Just mind your business." And he goes, "Were you with us?" And the guy was just like, "With what?" And he just said, "Well, we're marching for England." He goes, "Well, what does that mean?" A simple question. What does it mean, bro? Like, what is this march about? What's for England? And he goes, "But why have you specifically come to me to ask me if I'm with you or not? Why did you single me out?" We all know why he singled him out. And he goes, and he was trying to get the police to move and said, "Move him, he's not with us." Yeah. And I thought, the guy's minding his business. He's not harming anyone. But the guy, yeah, you're right. The guy handled it very, very well. I would have lost my shit, but the guy handled it very, very well. He was just asking the question, you're here, what for? I think they know deep down the answer. They're too ashamed to say, we don't want you here. Yeah. I know you don't want me here. It's very obvious. I've known this for a very long time. This isn't news. And this is why I just think maybe to a degree, it's gotten past the point where we can't make it work, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's over. And like, it
is so hard when I listen back to the words I'm saying, because even on TikTok when we're debating, when we're talking about how to come together, what I've noticed is people of minority are...
Oh, your signal's dropped down.
Try and come up with solutions and think, we have on class, etc., etc. But oh God, sorry, 1 second. We get terrible signal where I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh shit! 1 second. Yeah, can you hear me now? Sorry, I apologise.
Yes.
When we're talking about coming together, I've noticed when it comes from the white counterpart, it's like they want the divide. Well, okay, if you want the divide, take it. Like, I can't keep fighting you forever.
You know what? I find it the opposite.
Generations have been fighting you. We're not getting anywhere. Fine.
I find it the opposite because I'm not for unity, right? Because black and brown people have always tried to unite. The world was pretty much united before they came along. So if they want to have unity, they actually have to unpack all of the poor behavior that they have towards everybody else before they actually unite everybody. And plus, every time we try to unite, or even try to unite ourselves, who comes along? They do, to ruin it. Every single time. So there's no point, right? There's no point. We can't unite as long as these people are around and they're not, like I said earlier, if they're not willing to be anti-racist, anti-prejudice, anti-discriminatory, what else did I say? Like just don't be homophobic.
Bigoted and everything. I agree.
Yeah, they have to be pro everything. They have to be pro and anti in the right ways, right? So if
would you take them if they were willing to be willing to listen and learn? Would you take that as a stepping stone? If they said, "Look, I'm just literally clueless. I just need someone to explain." Would you take that as a stepping stone?
So I have some English people that come to my lives, right? And I love and appreciate them because they're actually here to listen and learn. Yeah. But they don't put the focus on themselves. The problem is when you say English, people are like, but I'm trying so hard and I can't get it. And it's not about you. This isn't. Stop trying to give us like this emotional breakdown. Go to a therapist about it. Yeah. It's annoying. Like, we're not doing your emotional labor because we're already doing it for ourselves. We have to overcome so much. Yeah. It's not our position or place to therapize white people in their own fucking history and their own discrimination and their own story. Like, it's very annoying. Like, I see it constantly all the time. They'll always try to deflect and get attention on themselves in the comment section. And I always say this every single time. If you find this conversation too difficult, why are you here? Because they know they actually do need to be here and they do know that there is something in their mind that's telling them they need to unpack this shit. But of course, society has told them, no, like me and you, custard cream, we're the enemy. We're the bad guys.
I know.
Why are they here? And, they have to deal with that conflict. But I always tell them, deal with that conflict outside of me. Otherwise, I block them. It's not my problem. It's not my problem.
I agree. I mean, with the information is readily out there for you to receive, to digest. I know it's uncomfortable to have these. You may maybe have an internal conflict about what your country's done, but when I see people being so patriotic, I'm just like, how sad is it to live in ignorance?
Absolutely.
How sad it is. I'm not a patriot. I'm Pakistani. I'm not someone who needs to wave a flag. And I say this to people, and I'm like, even if I was English, I'd be very aware of my history. But at the same time, I'm not that weak as a person that if I don't have a flag, automatically my identity is taken away. Your identity is linked to a cloth. Without that, you're nothing. And that to me is really sad.
It is very
No wonder
sad.
Women aren't having children. Why would I want to be with a man whose identity is linked to a fucking cloth? Yeah. I mean, is there nothing more to you than that? This is why they're not having children. Because they're weak men.
They don't have anything else. I have a video about this exactly on my page, that all they have is racism and poverty and the flag. Like, that's literally all they have. And again, they should be the ones to reflect on why that is. Like, what happened to them historically? Like, we seem to know the story. They ain't willing to learn the story about what happened literally before we arrived. Like,
I think sometimes the schooling system gives them a very whitewashed version of what British history is. Leaves out all the nasty bits, the uncomfortable bits. I don't know what bits they tell you because it's been a long time for me, but I don't remember learning about this bit in school. I think it was glossed over because why would they want you to know about it? It's not in their favour.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 38.
You're 38, so I'm 42. So around school, around similar time. Yeah. And even my sister.
Yeah.
But this one's 40. And we didn't get taught anything about the truth. And even nowadays, right?
I didn't.
I ask my friends and their kids, I say, what are your children learning in school? And they're like, Industrial Revolution. Yeah. I'm like, I know exactly how they're teaching that. They're not teaching them about the child slavery. They're not teaching them about 50% of the workforce was actually children. They're not talking about actually how they used to whip them. They used to beat them, how they used to light fires under them. They're not talking about how these children basically created this industry for the 1%. Like, that's how it actually happened. So after they quote unquote claimed to abolish the transatlantic slave trade, which they didn't, they just replaced the workers. And actually it took them years after for enslaved people to gain freedoms, because they were still doing it even though it was made illegal. It was not officially made illegal or banned until like 20, 30 years later. And so at the same time, they were setting up their own child labor and human labor in the UK. Like I said, the Industrial Revolution was a disgusting time in the UK. And people tried to say, yeah, well, this created so much technology. Again, everything that you were creating in the UK, you'd stolen from somewhere else. All you did was mass produce it. You just mass produced it. These things already existed, and you tried to claim other people's inventions. Oh, of course. No, you didn't create that. You lied and you created patents. I talk about this a lot on this platform, about how having a patent meant that all of the people that came before you that actually created something and were the actual inventors of things, you completely discredited them because you had this patent. And also with patents, you had to make sure you paid the renewal. So even if you had the patent for a year, it doesn't mean that you ended up being the person who was recognized for actually creating this invention. Your patent could disappear, but it was also the other white guy that had more money that could take that patent from you. And that's what got changed in history books. So there's so much whitewashing, there's so much brainwashing. And if you're on this planet in 2026 and you're not willing to educate yourself, it's a problem. But I always say at the same time, right, the UK was the birthplace of capitalism, and they really make it sure that you are too busy to do this research to figure out what the actual problem is, right? And that's a big problem. But the fact of the matter is, if you're on TikTok a lot of the time, which a lot of people are, especially if we're on TikTok, you know the same people around here all of the time, and they're not listening to the conversation. They're still very stuck in their emotions, and they're crying and crashing out and all this stuff. But to be honest, it gives me joy. It does.
It gives you joy. Do you know what's really sad as well, especially for at the moment for ethnic minority women? It's the fact that we're not just fighting white men, we're fighting white women. And that, I think, is a double whammy for us. Because we have women who are denying what's happening to ethnic minority women. For example, not a lot of women know about BLK women turning up unalive near rivers and they're being found alive. No one is talking about that. I'm not a BLK woman. I'm a Pakistani woman, but even I take interest to know what's going on with every woman, because every woman matters. But whenever I speak to white women about the issues or the struggles with ethnic minority women, the first one to pipe up is men to say, well, what about white women? What about our white children? And it's like, or when we talk about particular lives like the BLM movement, or if we talk about brown, I know a guy that used to do a post about Brown Lives Matter, and the amount of people that would come up and say, well, all lives matter. And I'm like, oh, stop it. I'm like, your life has always mattered and always will. That's what you're not getting. I mean, the amount of money that was pumped into Madeleine McCann and the injustice that happened to Stephen Lawrence. Let's talk about that, shall we?
Yeah. There's so much.
Let's talk about poor Doreen, and let's talk about fucking Kate and whatever McCann.
Yeah. Look, even this week, right? 25 million out of nowhere to the Jewish community. 25 million. Like that's insane.
So is that to the Golders? Is that just to Golders Green, or is that to different areas across the UK where there's a high Jewish community?
Anything to do with the Jewish community, as far as I understand. So, you know, they have their own
police
force, their own police force, their own justice system. They have all of these things. So they've got 25 million. And again, this is where people actually need to understand, you know, the difference between being Jewish and being a Zionist, and where Zionism may ever come from. Because English people, because they don't read their history, they're like, oh, we've been infiltrated by Zionists. You created it! You created it! Like, you created it! You created Israel!
But they're okay. They're okay with the 25 million going, because let's be honest, many Jewish people, unless they wear the traditional clothing, they are white passing.
Yeah, well, they're
So
white people.
they are okay
They're
with
like,
that.
they're white people, man. Like, these people came from like Poland or wherever, you know. This is,
They are white passing. So
if they
yeah.
literally were Eastern European, the British would have a problem, right? Because we know they don't like Eastern Europeans. But because they're Jewish and they're from like via Israel, it's like, okay, we accept them. But this is the thing that always gets me, and I always say that this is like wildness in terms of Britain, right, on England. How is it that you can literally fight the Nazis, right? You can claim this, like, we fought fascism, blah, 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 blah. But the Israelis are doing the exactly same thing in Palestine. And you're like, yeah, but we support them. We support them. There's the same group. The Nazis and the Zionists who are doing this shit to these people are the same group. You guys don't understand exactly what Zionism is. You don't understand what fascism is, what it looks like. Like, it's really, that should be, especially their grandparents or the great-great-grandparents, right, who literally fought fascism, they should be so disappointed.
Ashamed.
Yeah, ashamed as well, that they literally had to sacrifice their lives and their livelihood and their health and their wealth, all of these things for these 1% of family members who actually just ended up having a fight. It was just all this internal family fighting in World War One that dragged millions of people to their deaths, millions of people, that it's come around now in a circle where those groups are the same. Like, that is such a piss take. And then the fact they're like, yeah, well, I've got my grandpa's medals and he's did this and did that. Like, yeah, but do you actually understand?
You'd be ashamed of you, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd be ashamed of you. But because of the hatred for a particular group, for example, for Muslims or for Islam, the hatred that they have overrides any sort of morality that may be in there. So if they have to align with Nazism, if it means that they can justify their hate and bigotry for Muslims or for Islam, they'll do it. Because hate overrides any morals that you have.
Absolutely. And the guy that did
I'm tired of debating. Do you know what, Fox? Honestly, like, I'm tired of debating these people because I'm just like, seriously, either I'm the dumb one, clearly, or something's gone wrong here, because I don't understand. Like, I can explain this to my child and she understands. She understands the history. I mean, she was telling me she learned about the Great Fire of London. Is it the Great Fire of London or something like that? And I tell her about her own history, even though she's mixed race. I do tell her about her own. If a child can understand it, why is an human adult failing to understand? And you stood there with your flag for what? To look like a tool. Carry on, do you? Like that. And people said, well, it's a flag. I said, I'm personally not bothered by it. I'm not bothered at all. But I'd like to know the history of something that I'm proudly parading around. So I don't look like a twat, but carry on doing you. And this is why I said before, I don't worry about being kicked out of this country. They've been having these chats since my grandparents were here. If this is the level of intelligence of people that I speak to, I'm good. I ain't going nowhere. Exactly. I'm not going nowhere at all. Absolutely safe.
I do pick up on the fact that you said you're tired of arguing with people like this. I am always saying on my platform, and even when I see people who are my mutuals or people I follow, I always ask the same question to them. Why are you in these spaces wasting your energy? Why? It's literally up to us to accept and protect ourselves in what we're doing here. Are you actually doing something that's conductive or productive? That becomes a problem if we're not actually making sure that we are speaking to the people that need to hear our messaging. Because, you know, and I've said in the beginning of this live, I literally only spend about 10 minutes in these spaces. I say what I need to say and I say, deuces, I'm out. I do not waste my time and energy. But this is Beth has said about the Golders Green incident. The man wasn't even anti-Semitic either. He had schizophrenia and didn't take his meds and left hospital. Yeah, because a third victim was also poked, who was his friend, who was potentially a Muslim. So it wasn't an anti-Semitic crime. Also in the comments section, I saw, who else was down here? Let me just go down a little bit here. I saw somebody saying something. Cadillac said, I don't dislike the English. I just return the energy anyone gives me, good or bad. Yeah, fair. Wei Jan says their culture sucks. That's why. Kimberly, good to see you. Children have way more compassion and empathy than adults with fragile ego, based on what you were talking about there, custard cream. Tyler Durden says ego is often the barrier keeping them from facing the truth. Most definitely that too. The UK and its energy and its vibration keeps a lot of people stuck in ego. I talk about ego a lot on my platform, and we've also recognized that black and brown people also fall into this category as well, right? They're also still trying to uphold this English reputation or this English narcissism, right? I don't know if you've seen this footage, Custard Cream. There was this guy, I'm hoping he was trolling. I think he was, because he was kind of smiling. There's a creator called Nicola Thorpe, and have you done, if you've seen her, she does interviews in like these, the right-wing marches. And there was a guy, he was a brown guy. I'm not sure what background he was from. He was Asian, right? Brown Asian. And he was wearing a white history t-shirt saying like, I stand up for white people and whiteness and white history.
Did he have like a slick back hair and quite youngish looking guy?
Yeah, kind of youngish looking. He's like, it was black hair, it was kind of spiky a little bit. And it was like a white
I think I know who you mean.
Yeah. So I think he was trolling, he was smiling.
He's Pakistani.
Oh, okay, he's Pakistani. Yeah, I think he was. Yeah. I think he was trolling because he was. Yeah, so his demeanor seemed like it was making a joke. Plus, he didn't have his t-shirt out and out, like he had it covered up.
If it's the same guy I'm thinking of, Fox, I think he was on Liam Tuff's podcast.
Who?
So I don't know if you know who Liam Tuff's.
I've heard of that.
So Liam Tuff's is. Yeah, so he is very anti-Islam. He's also a little bit anti-migrant, but bearing in mind his dad is a convicted PDF and all along the rest of it. He's openly said that his dad is a wrong-un. And the guy was on that show as well, and he was talking about, if it's the same guy, he was saying how he believes that, you know, people that come here need to respect Western culture and the hijab needs to be banned.
Again, these men who are just trying to control women all the time is hilarious. I was having this conversation. Yeah. I mean, I've moved to a Muslim country. I don't know if you know this. I literally moved.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 4 years ago I moved. And every time I come back to the UK, I always highlight the fact that there are more women in burqas and niqabs in the UK than there are in the Muslim country that I moved to. And I understand that because of how disgusting European men are. Like, they're so pervy, and they try to control women. They try to control them constantly. So I don't blame women actually for covering up more in the UK, because men are perverts there. Seriously, they're perverts, and they don't seem to realize it. Like, I remember the youngest time I was when I got slapped on the arse. Do you remember, you guys, like those of you guys who are old enough, do you remember in the 90s, you would get slapped on the arse all of the time, regardless of what age you were. A boy at school or a man out and about, they would always try to slap your arse or pinch your arse or something like that. This is so funny. I've literally just got a flag. I've said a lot of stuff on this live, right? And as soon as I've just said that men touch your butt, I've just got a violation warning. How funny. That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I was out walking my dog the other night, and I don't know why this guy started walking alongside me, and he scared me a little bit. It was about 11 o'clock because I walk my dog at night because he's a knob and I can't walk him outside all the time. And this guy goes, "Oh, your dog's really nice." And I thought, I'm really uncomfortable here. Can you just like back off? And he started slowly following me. And my dog was looking at him and goes, "What type of dog is that?" And I told him, "I live across the road from you." And I thought, okay, have a nice evening, bye. And then he started coming towards my gate, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Oh, I've seen you. You've got 2 girls, haven't you?" And I felt so uncomfortable. And I just thought to myself, you wouldn't approach a woman in the day. Please don't fucking approach her at night. That's just going to make us even feel more uncomfortable by what you're doing. Have you not heard that there's an issue with violence against women and girls globally, and you're here making a woman feel really, really uncomfortable? I don't know what it's like in where obviously you are. Maybe it's a lot safer, but here I agree. Here men have a problem with keeping their hands to themselves.
Yeah. It's honestly,
or their eyes, or their hand, whatever it is.
I am a million times more safer here than I ever have been in the UK. I leave my front door open, my cars are open, you can leave your keys in your engine, I can leave my stuff around. I'm a solo woman living here. I have to tell you that I do have a group of men who are living next door, right? Actually, since I've lived here, so I live next door to a builder's house. I had the local population of men who were living at that house. They were okay. They were all right. And there was quite a lot of men because they're builders. And then what happened? And then again, another group of men, actually a Pakistani group of men, ended up living next door, and they live next door now. Because there were so many men, they would have to call their families. They would walk in front of my house and walk down the street. And sometimes they would sit opposite in the field, because there's a field opposite, right? And because there's so many men, it started to make me feel very uncomfortable. And so I would tell them, don't stand outside my house, don't do this. And of course, as a woman, it becomes very intimidating, right? Men don't seem to realize their behavior. The one time I told them off, they've never done it again. In the UK, if I'd said something to a man, there'll be this back and forth argument, this, oh, we didn't mean it. They'll be so defensive. The one time I screamed at them, they were like, sorry, like, sorry. And they were so apologetic that there's never been any issue since then. That's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard the story. About what happened, what I just went through.
I'm so sorry. I didn't. So I apologize.
That's okay. I was just telling the story about how I live next door to a group of men. It's a group of men are builders. The local population men were here. Then they moved, and then it was a group of Pakistani men. But because they were having to call their families all the time, they were walking in front of the house. They were on the phone. They were sitting opposite my house as a field. It was making me feel very uncomfortable, right? Having all these men around. So I said to them, please don't do that. Don't sit there. But because the messages weren't being passed from different man to different man, because I don't know how many people live next door. A lot, right?
Of course.
So they were still doing it. And then I ended up screaming at them saying, you don't listen. Yeah. And they were like, immediately, so sorry. Whereas if it was in the UK, if you screamed at a group of men, what would happen? Calm down, darling. You're being over the top. You're being over exaggerated. We ain't. You're being emotional,
etc., etc.
They would say all of that kind of stuff. So that's the difference. Like I say, I live next to many Pakistani guys and many men who were the local population before. Not generally a problem. I would not like to live next door to a group of English guys because of the noise, because of the disrespect, because of the just how they behave. It's just men together. You know what English men are like when they go on holiday. I have a video of this on my page. We know what they're like. Lads, what?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, they don't
yeah. Very distasteful.
Very distasteful. They got no class, no class whatsoever. So. Yeah, I would if they replaced next door the Pakistani guys with the English guys, I'd have to sell my house and leave. Honestly.
Oh dear, hopefully not.
I hope not.
Hopefully not.
I hope not as well. I hope not.
I'm gonna have to dash, Fox, but thank you for having me up, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll join you again soon.
Thank you so much, Custard Cream. Thank you so. Before you go, Custard Cream,
no problem.
Can you guys make sure that you do Custard Cream? Please make sure that you send some gifts to her. She was absolutely wonderful on the panel.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Chat.
You'll see me floating around. But take care, everyone. Bye, host.
Thank you. Thank you, chat, as well. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, see, Custard Cream, please do gift her up because she was wonderful. Really lovely. So thank you so much to her. And thank you so much, everybody in the chat section as well. I really appreciate you. You guys know that there's the link in my bio because I record these TikTok lives and I upload them to YouTube, also to RSS, so you can listen to them on your favorite streaming platforms, such as like if you listen to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, even though we don't support Spotify, but if you still use it, then you can listen on there and other places as well. And I want to just say a thank you again to CHB18. You've been so missed around here, sir. Very much missed. So I'm very happy to see you here. And I hope that you're less busy. So yes, I got distracted because that's what you do when you have ADHD. I got distracted. So the topic I'm going to have next week is going to be very different, very random. It's going to be about weird crushes. This came into my mind that we as human beings, we can like certain things. And I want to talk about the weird crushes that I've had on various different things. Yeah. So think about the weird crushes that you currently have or the crushes that you had when you were younger. Like, what did you find was kind of attractive? Yeah. We're going to be talking about that next week. My family and my friends know about my ones. They were kind of funny and they're kind of strange, but they make sense when I explain them. So I would love us to share about things that we kind of liked when we were younger or even present day. So thank you so much again, everybody, for being here. Yeah, it's a little sneak preview, Paulie. You're keeping quiet on yours, Kimberly. Oh yeah, mine are kind of embarrassing, Tyler. But again, when I explain them, they make sense. So I'm not embarrassed to share. So I hope that you guys will share as well. So Thank you so much, everybody, again, as I say, and I will see you guys next week. Please have a lovely, spectacular and beautiful weekend. Keep fighting the racists, keep fighting the racism, keep fighting the discrimination. Stand up for yourselves. Be strong. I love you.